Gabby, hello, Togoza, Togozani, Togozani, Ninjani, Togozani, how is everyone doing? Togozani, hi Bo, where are you all coming from? I wasn't expecting to see anyone. Hi Gabby, I miss you too. Emakosini, how's everybody doing? How is everyone doing? So I'm literally here as a Q&A. This is totally unscripted. Actually, I'm doing it to fulfill a requirement for something. But you ran so fast when you saw the live button. So I'm literally here to answer questions, Q&A. Anyone have any questions? I will answer your questions as you type them through. I'm not opening this up for people to join me because I'm about the peace and quiet today. I'm not about the noise. And more often than not, when people come on, it starts going crazy. Guys, please tap the live. Tap it, tap, 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 tap. Let's see how many people we can get here. So please do ask your questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Today is Goody. It's Goody Friday. It's Goody Friday. The cultists are getting ready to cult. Yes, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Guys, you must have some kind of questions. You must have a load of questions. Are the levels to Ubuntu? I wish I could ask it better. Are there levels to Ubuntu? Oh, great question, Gabby. Now, you know that I have said Ubuntu is our essence, our very essence. And what is that based on? Our very essence as Abantu is based on Ma'at. It's based on the laws of Ma'at. So are there levels to Ubuntu? I would say yes, they are. Because your adherence to the Ma'at principles is what gives you a certain level of Ubuntu, right? So if you are adhering to certain of the Ma'at laws and not others, you're being selective about which Ma'at laws you choose to adhere to, then, remember, the laws of Ma'at are aspirational. We are born here to have a human experience as souls. Therefore, I need to tell you this so that those of you with a Christian mindset can undo that thing that gets you all messed up. There is no perfection in this part of the world. There's no perfection. We were never created for perfection. We were created as spirits to have a human experience and to, as far as we possibly can, always be in alignment with the laws of Ma'at. So that unrealistic ideal of perfection, throw it out the window, because that thing is a Western construct, and that is part of the reasons that many people live in shame and guilt, which are two useless emotions. But you get trapped in shame and guilt if you're always aspiring for perfection, because you will never attain it. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to have a human experience, which means the good, the bad, and the ugly, but always trying to veer back and adhere to the laws of Ma'at. That is what it means to be Umuntu. That is what it means to be a human walking this planet. And by human, I'm talking to Abantu. To those other things. I don't know what you want to call them. Okay? No disrespect intended, but I only strictly come here for my own. What is other? I was just passing by in Lobugazi Magwande, Slindo. Thank you. Any other question? Can Christianity and spirituality coexist? Great question. No. Two reasons. Number one, Christianity is a man-made construct. It's a man-made religion that was intended for political purposes only. It was intended to enslave, to disempower, to colonize. It was used as an excuse to plunder. I did a video explaining, for example, what Easter is and how Easter as a holiday to celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus was created. And from that story, you will see that this is literally a construct. They sat at the Council of Nicaea and decided that on what was supposed to be the festival of Ishtar, who was the Babylonian Assyrian goddess of sex and fertility, they made a choice that let's put this as when the Christians are going to celebrate the death and resurrection of this their savior. Remember, they were fighting. There were factions of Christianity actually fighting about where and when this savior died and was buried and resurrected. So Constantine was like, these people are causing me too much problem. The Roman Empire is a mess because of them. On top of that, I've got the Jews on the one hand who are really, really giving me problems because they can't stand these Christians. So I got to solve it somehow. That's when in 325 AD, he called the Council of Nicaea and sat them all down. The Pope was there, the rabbis were there, and the different factions of Christianity were there. And that's where they decided which texts we're going to put in the Bible. That's when the first Trinity, this Trinity of the Bible, was created. Because out of all these factions, some believe that God was God, the Father, and that he had no equal. Some said, no, God the Father and God the Son, they are equal. Some said, no, the Holy Spook is more equal than God the Father and the Son. Get what I'm saying? There were so many factions believing different things, and Constantine was tired of them fighting. So they were fighting about the holy days. They were fighting about who was more superior in terms of greatness. Was it God the Father? Was it Jesus? Was it the Holy Spook? So I said, now we're going to put an end to this. How about we do this? How about we create the 3 in 1 and 1 in 3 concept? We're going to have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spook. All 3 are equal. All 3 are God. Finish. Well, the factions were happy with that. Then the next thing was, okay, fine. The Jews said, don't mess with Passover. Do not mess with Pascha. That is their sacred holiday. Whatever you do with your Christians and when you decide you're going to celebrate this Easter thing, that's your business. And remember, it wasn't called Easter then. They were just celebrating the death and resurrection of Christ. Yeah, he died on a Friday. The Saturday, he was dead. And then on the Sunday, he rose again, right? So now it was like, we have to find a day. So Constantine said, I have a brilliant idea. How about we do it this way? The spring equinox, we'll make it the first Sunday after the spring equinox, which is also going to be the first Sunday after the first full moon in March. That'll be perfect. But who is celebrated at the spring equinox? It was the deity Ishtar, the goddess of fertility and sex. Meaning to say, you know what they're like, most those ones. All their festivals involve a lot of indiscriminate sex, lots of it. So the egg, which are Ishtar's symbol, is the egg and the bunny. The egg represents new life, right? Resurrection, new life, spring. And the bunnies represent indiscriminate sex. So they all had orgies and the larks and lots of drinking and debauchery. In true fashion, the way they do everything. Okay. So now Christians, you are busy thinking you are celebrating the birth and death, the death of Jesus. But who you are celebrating is Ishtar. If you are umuntu, you are aligned with the southern hemisphere. For many of us, that is where our umbilical stump is buried. What business do we have partaking in northern hemisphere rituals? Because that's a ritual, right? Where still you're partaking in Northern Hemisphere rituals of this Jesus character, and it's all constructed. Nobody knows where he's buried. Therefore, this death resurrection story is fiction. Look, I can go and find my grandfather's tomb or grave, my great grandmother. Listen, if I could trace them all, I could probably find where they were buried. But this Jesus, nobody knows his tomb. They've come up with all sorts of fictitious stories. But you see, here's the kicker. Now they've suddenly painted him. Now he's he's gone from being blonde and blue-eyed and sissified like this to being, well, he looks a bit weird. I have to say, the black Jesus that they're putting out, I'm like, you can do better. So you see, guys, it's all a construct. Everything to do with religion has been written and rewritten. Now, I've answered this the long way. That's religion. I've painted the story for you. Spirituality. Spirituality is what? Nature. When you are a spiritual person, you are deeply aligned with nature because nature is you. As above, so below, as within, so without. So, for example, in the Southern Hemisphere right now, it is autumn. Things are slowing down, right? People aren't working as hard anymore. They shouldn't be. The system has them living a misaligned life where they are constantly having to have the same output in the winter as they do in the summer, in the spring, and the fall. Same over here. During this winter season, we should have all been really slowed down and hibernating. Why do you think it's so hard to get up to go to work in the winter? It's tough. Why? Because everything within you slows down the same way everything in nature kind of dies and slows down and goes into hibernation. You feel it in your body. So you're living a misaligned life. This is why you get seasonal affective disorder. This is why people get depressed, because you're forcing your body to do things in the winter that it should only be doing in the summer and the spring. Does that make sense? So, big difference. So I don't see how you can be Christian and spiritual. For me personally, I don't see how. I don't see how I can justify trying to live a fairy tale at the same time as trying to live aligned with nature. How do I do that? Right? So no. Who says Lala, stop misleading people? Who's Lala for starters? And you should know better, because if you're South African, you know how to greet an elder. So I'd rather you leave my space and you do it very quickly. Who else? And you can go to your camp. Like, I don't even know why you're here. So who else has questions? Let me see if there are questions. Who else has questions? So there can be like dimensions, like third or fifth. I don't know what that is, Gabby. I don't know what dimensions you mean. Was just passing by Love Guys. Okay, I've seen that. Why are you talking about Christians? Are you not out of content? Why am I out of content? Someone leave, because you're playing with fire right now. Just go. Like literally, I don't want to be rude to you. Just go. Uzosola shame. This is not the time to mess with spiritual people. We don't like suganj. I'm not even gonna block you. Just do the right thing and go away. That's it. That's all I ask. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, you know what? Who wants to be invited? Request and I'll invite people, because it's very hard for me to read your questions. So I may as well bring you on to answer your questions. There's somebody. Accept. All right. All right, Gabby, you're on. Hey, Lala. Hi,
Oh,
Gabby.
okay. Let me explain because it was hard to write it.
How are you?
Um,
First and
I was,
foremost, you good?
oh yeah, I'm a
Okay.
lot better now.
Okay, so ask away. What was the question?
So you answered the part about Ubuntu being different. And I was saying, you know how they have this thing, because you know how they like to steal our stuff. So I was seeing if it was the same as when they were like, oh, everyone's in the third dimension, but the people who are ascending into the fifth dimension. So is there like levels to where you can be with different energies in Ubuntu. We're not all connected, but like you can be in a certain state where there's people that are attached to you in a certain way, and then once you leave that energy and you move into a different energy, does the Ubuntu, like the people that are you connected that what the people you're connected to, does that energy change? Because I've noticed that as I started healing, people that I would consider family in Ubuntu have been stripped away, and there's this new cast of people that I would consider Ubuntu.
Okay, so you're getting yourself tied up in a knot with terminology. Ubuntu is the essence of being black. Ubuntu is the essence of being melanated. Ubuntu comes with certain ways of being, but that does not mean that Abantu, meaning those of us who are melanated, are all created equal. We just had an example of Zama here, who's a typical low vibrational Umuntu. So when it comes to vibrational frequency, Abantu can stay third dimensional, meaning stuck in the root chakra and stuck in the matrix, or Abantu can ascend. How do they then ascend? By aligning more and more with the laws of Ma'at. Remember, we are in the divine age of Aquarius, which is the divine age of Ma'at. This is the age of truth. Truth is marching on. As you can see, all lies are being uncovered. So when you align more with Ma'at and those energies, you will ascend to the fifth dimension. Does that make sense? So it doesn't mean that because ungumuntu, that you're melanated, you are high vibrational. There are some, we always talk about imidloembe, right? Which are the sellouts. We have plenty of sellouts and they are abantu, meaning to say they are ntu. Ntu is the definition of the hue. It's the definition of possessing melanin. That is why you find that Tina singabantu, but abelumbi, ama-China, we don't call them abantu. We literally call them ama-China or abelumbi or amandia, right? We call them by their name. But Tina singabantu, meaning to say, if I meet you on the street, Gabby, the first thing that connects me to you is that melanin, because it's very magnetic. Melanin is a communication molecule. So that's what connects me on the level of Singabantu. But that does not necessarily mean that I am Umuntu who is living according to the laws of Ma'at. Meaning to say, I may not necessarily treat you with Ubuntu. Does that make sense?
Yes, that was where I was asking, because I've seen it a lot, especially on this app, especially when they're wounded or hurt, they like revert, like they could have been high vibrational and then they'll revert to being not in a vibration that I find cohesive. Cuz like I would go into a live, and it'd be a live I normally would go into, and then I'd be like, I don't really like the energy. They act inflicted. They just acting weird. And I was like, I can't stay. Like I'd even be on the panel, and immediately, nope. Someone to come in I can't stand and just go, nope.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Right. So that's what happens when you grow. You find that, and I always say this, especially to my spiritual kids who cry about, I'm isolated, I'm alone, I'm this. I'm like, no, will you stop whining about it? Because in order for you to ascend, you have to be pruned. Meaning, people around you, situations around you. You can even be taken out of certain spaces if you're going to ascend. Because for you to ascend, you have to be light, right? So you're stripped of all the things that no longer serve you and that will no longer serve you where you are going. a lot of the stripping is also stripping you of yourself, things that are ego-based. Because the ego is what keeps you rooted in that root chakra in the third dimension. When you are stripped of all those egoic things, then you're able to ascend and you're able to now access the fifth dimension, which is a very different place from the third dimension. So you will lose a lot of people when you ascend. That is just normal.
Yeah, but it's because I think what I was trying to do, I was trying to be very Aquarius with it and trying to find like an actual term for what was going on. And I was just trying to make it more scientific than it needed to be. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not really like, I don't mind being left to my own devices and stuff. I'm not one, because I'm used to just not, because I'm very introverted anyway. Like I talk to you, I talk to Coco, I talk to a few other people. That's fine, but usually I get fussed at for not wanting to leave my room because my room is my safe space in this house, and I don't like really going outside all that much unless it's to the backyard. And even sometimes then the energy of the backyard really doesn't sit right with me, so I don't really like going back there all that often. So I'm not whining. I'm just trying to
No, I wasn't talking
carpet.
specifically about you, but I said some of my spiritual kids, I do have spiritual kids who are having a very hard time with the separation, but that's because they didn't understand that in order for you to grow, you will outgrow, right? Growth means moving forward. So you're going to outgrow certain spaces, certain people, certain things. Sometimes your spirit herself will tell you it doesn't want you to eat certain foods anymore. And
Yeah,
you
because
find
I've
yourself
outgrown
thinking,
a
but I
lot of
want to eat, I'd
mindsets.
like to eat some sushi, but you can no longer eat sushi. Or I love meat, I love a good barbecue, but you find that your spirit self, your higher self is telling you no more to this. Usually this happens as a preparation to an ascension.
Yeah,
So yeah, okay, I hope I've answered that. Somebody else who's here. Stelo, how are you, Stelo?
I'm good, Gogo Thokoza.
Thokoza khehla ninjani mntu omdala?
Siyaphila.
Eh.
I feel like as I'm listening to this video, I feel like I'm stuck somewhere, and in my spirit I think I'm gonna find the answer in you. You
Awu.
know where I'm stuck?
Eh.
Yeah, you know where I'm stuck? I'm stuck in how I was raised, and I've been awakened in my own journey or in my own path. So now I come from a Christian background, and as I come from the Christian background, I'm stuck to this social background, and as I'm going my path, and I'm failing a lot. I'm losing my self-esteem and my self-confidence to the point that I feel like the direction and the path that I'm taking it's blurry. And when I'm looking at the past, I'm no longer connecting where I come from, because there is this new consciousness of Aquarius that is just enlightening me. But the journey on my forward, it's blurry.
So you're stuck in
I don't
between,
know.
Keisha. So you're stuck in between
Yes,
your past and your upbringing and your social and your socialization, and you're
yes,
stuck between that and this new path, which is very unknown, right? It's a new path,
yes,
and the way doesn't seem very clear. Okay,
yes,
Keisha. So here's the thing that I always say is the first thing that you want to do is, and I have it here, just not because I was going to talk about it, but you need to align
yes,
yourself with the calendar. The calendar, the African calendar, when you align with it, you are aligning with nature, which is our spirituality. Once you
yes,
start there, everything else, Ketla, starts to make sense. For example, who is creator to us? Because a lot of
yes,
people have said to me, Gogo, okay, you are saying that this Christian God and this Jesu is nothing to do with us. So as Africans, who do we pray to? And my answer is always, uRamasedi, uMvelinqangi, uQamatha, sinoNomkhubulwane, sinoNomhoyi.
yes,
This is who, this, uSmakade, uSonini Nanini, Oh, Mkhulu, this is us. Now, you will ask the question, but who are those? That is where now understanding our stories and understanding who we related to. Ukamata umvelinqangi uRamasedi is the sun. Unomkhubulwane yinyanga. That's why she's called the master magician. Inyanga. Tina inyanga. We are onomkhubulwane manifested. So the God that everybody is seeking out there is not just these two. We don't worship these cosmic bodies. We worship their creation, which is us. So the God within you, you are a part of that creation. Like I said, as above, so below. So aligning with the calendar is a way of you living your spiritual path. A spiritual path is not a religion where you pick up a book, you go to church on Sunday, and then you go home and you're praying to something outside of yourself. Spirituality is a lived path of living, right? Siyazi ukuthi at a certain time in the year, you can't go and plant in the middle of winter, or you can't go and plant when it's harvest season. Right? So how do you apply that to your life? It's simple. Right now, it's harvest. Winter is coming in the southern hemisphere. You are not going to go and start to plant something. So why are you going to try to start a new business this time of year? It's planting, right? Why are you going to start a new business? Because now you are going to fail, and then you are going to say, "Well, amadlozi wami angilahlile, abangithakathile." Nonsense. This time of year is a time for going inwards. This is the time where you take your notebook and your pen and you start planning the business you're going to launch when? In September, which is the new year. So every season has its activities that you can do so that you live in alignment with nature. And once you're in alignment with nature, you are working with the energies that support whatever it is you're doing. This energy we're in now, isikhathi sika ma, isikhathi sika nomkhubulwane, isikhathi sisesibelethweni, we are in the womb of our set. This is because it's winter, it's dark, we're in the womb. The sun is no longer there, it's coming to the northern hemisphere. That's why winter is over there. So in that space, this is the time to manifest your things. What does manifestation mean? Have a clear picture in your mind of the thing that you want for yourself. Desire it. Feel it with your emotions, which are energy in motion. You write these things down that you want. Whatever you're manifesting. I was using this as an example to someone who would, if you want to manifest a car, now Range Rover, this is the time for manifestation. Take the picture of the thing you want, leave it around you. Go to the dealership, go and test a Range Rover, feel what it feels like to be in that car, right? That is you preparing for September, when you're now going to get into action in order to get this thing that you want. Does that make sense, Mkhulu? That is how we live spirituality. We live aligned with nature. We also hold our...
As you have just mentioned...
Hey, Thomas.
As you've just mentioned, the seasonal times, I think where the player does come in, or where it does occur in my life, it occurs because I think I even find the frequency, the radiation of my vibration in this new spiritual space that I'm exposed into. For the fact that I was an extraordinary child from the beginning. That's why my name is Celo, hence my name is Celo, because they have to pass an awakening, Mkhulu othile, that come to live in my life. And when I came, they couldn't understand me. I became a black sheep in my family. So now, since now I've been walking back and forth, it is whereby, and since I came to the spiritual being, I find that it's a rabbit hole. It's an unending learning. Yes. So now I'm stuck on a gray area. Either I'm going to left or I'm going to right. I don't know.
And that is where people are finding themselves now. I don't know if you follow me for long, but I think about a few months ago, I gave a prophecy and I said, the time is coming where you're going to have to choose which way you're going. And with this April, with the solar eclipse coming on April 8th, I'm going to do a separate teaching on that. There's a lot that is going to happen. And a lot of people are already starting to feel it. We're starting to see it in the political landscape in South Africa. Things that are happening all over the world are showing us that kunokuphuthuma kwezinto ziyashesha manje. That is because as above, so below. Those of us who are in this realm now have to make a decision as to where we stand. Which side of history are you going to be found when all is said and done? So I understand the position you're in, but that is now your work to clarify for yourself where you stand.
Okay.
That is now your work to clarify. Nobody can do that work for you. That's why I always say, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm not here to convert. That's the Christian's job. My work is to give you information. You then make up your own mind which way you go. That is a work, Kehla, that was going to require you to sit still within yourself, to phahla abantu abadala, and to ask them to clarify for you ukuthi kahle kahle ubani and who or what do you stand for. That is a personal journey. That is part of the loneliness of this journey. And we've all been through it. Many of us come from Christian families. I come from a Catholic Christian family. So you can imagine that when I started to discover that this church is actually a cult and the rituals that they were doing, when I started to discover Ash Wednesday, that when they put a cross here, they're blocking your third eye. Like, you can imagine discovering all these things and standing out by myself. On top of that, I'm ancestrally gifted, something that they knew when I was a child. It is a lonely path, I'm telling you, but at the end of the day, remember, you chose to incarnate into this realm by yourself. You made a decision to come and experience life by yourself. Therefore, these are some of the life decisions you have to make by yourself.
When you say, I chose to reincarnate, it cuts deep. I hear you.
Thokoza, ngiyakubona ukuthi ungubani Khehla. Sorry, bengingafuni ukukuhlahluba, but iphumile nje yona. But ngiyakubona ukuthi ungubani. That's why ngisho njalo ukuthi wena ungumuntu vele ozayo. Hayi kakuqala, this is not your first rodeo here. You've been here before. That's why now you are in a position where you've had to come back so that you can now make this critical choice at this critical juncture. Ukuthi, where are you? Because kahle kahle wena in your line of, oh no, angisahlahluba into zabantu ithi ngithule Khehla. Oh.
Hamba nami gogo khona la ungisakhona nginawe.
Yeah, ngoba une calling enkulu phezulu kwempilo yakho wena Khehla. Ungumholi kahle kahle. So kumele ukhethe manje ukuthi umholi which type and which side. So you've got a big responsibility.
Iqiniso gogo. Ngoba sekuvelile okunye.
Yebo, hawu, ngiyayibona, and yazi I'm actually getting chills as I see you, because I see you. So you are in a very, very it's a lonely space. It's a lonely space because kahle kahle nobody can tell you otherwise. No one can tell you do this or do that. Umoya wakho lo that chose to come back, kumele umlalele this higher self. Kumele niqhumane naye uthi hey ndoda sesibuyile futhi siyaphi this time round. It's very important.
Thokoza nina basekhaya.
Thokoza Khehla, thokoza. Magwandi. Okay, I'm gonna take one more person. Oh, Khehla usuphakamisa umoya bheka manje. Yo. See, this is why I don't like coming live. Gabby, do you see what happens when I come live? It never ends well. Let's see who else is coming. Who else is coming? Khehla Stelo, can you drop off? Gabby, can you drop off so that someone else can come on? I think it's like having a hard time getting somebody on. So if you guys can just drop off, or I can remove. Oh, there we go. Khetha ninjani? Thokoza Khetha ninjani? Thokoza Khetha ninjani? Okay. Thokoza Khetha ninjani?
Thokoza gogo.
Okay, how are you, Khetha?
Thokoza gogo.
But yenzani le nto le?
Thokoza gogo.
Yenzani le nto le? Thokoza Khetha.
Ndoda.
Niyaphila. Thokoza Khetha, your connection is really bad. I can hardly hear you.
Ngiyaphila gogo ninjani?
Hayi siyaphila. Khetha, your connection is really bad. I can hardly hear you.
Ngiyaphila gogo ninjani?
Hayi siyaphila. Khetha, your connection is really bad. I can hardly hear you.
Ngiyaphila gogo ninjani? Okay, angiye.
Okay, ma unombuzo Khetha, buza umbuzo wakho, then I'll drop you an answer. We have connection problem. Okay, this is Susan. All right. Any other questions? Anyone? Oh, there are more people on here. Sipake uBoyithumela. I'm gonna do one at a time. Thokoza Dumi. Thokoza Ndlovukazi. Guys, can you hear me? If you can hear me, can you tap the screen so I can see some hearts? If you guys can still hear me, can you tap the screen? Hello, can you guys tap the screen just so I know? There we go. So good, you can hear me. I seem to be having a problem with people coming on. I'm gonna try one more. See who else. I'm going to try Queen. Let's see if she connects. Thokoza Queen, how are you?
Amakhosile Thokozane ndawo kwaphandle
Thokoza Ndlovukazi.
hayi intondokazi yami jabulela ukukubona
Thanda ndim.
you awusemhle sisi omhle but
Ngiyabonga.
like I just want to say you are one of the rare gems that a lot of us look up to, right? Secretly so, you are a mentor to so many, and you know the direction that we are going to definitely is going to yield good results that might be painful for others, but it is what it is. So continue doing the task that you've been assigned to, and just know that you are raising kids that you do not know, that you've never met.
Siyabonga Ndlovukazi. I really appreciate that. And you're gonna make me cry because you know I'm a big baby, but siyabonga. And makwandi nakuwe Ndlovukazi, makwandi nakuwe. Thank you for validation and affirmation. It really literally makes this work, hard as it is, it makes it it makes it worthwhile, because kwesinye isikhathi unokuzibuza ukuthi, my gosh, for all this noise I make on social media, is there anyone actually hearing me? But if it's a calling, you don't really have much of an option to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. You have to keep going. So ngiyabonga, anytime somebody just validates, no matter how small, even the fact that your life is changing, the fact that you're learning is enough. Siyabonga.
Thank you so much. Ngithi makwande nakuwe Mkhulu.
Thokoza.
Ande kuzalane kwande kuzalane.
Thokoza.
You have no idea. I just want to take this opportunity now that we're live. Um, I, I don't think I knew myself 10 years back when I went ephehlweni. Yes, I knew ukuthi umngoma kunani yebo. Kodwa ngale ndlela ngizizwa ngako manje, yeah, ngize ngibuze ukuthi eyi ugeze ngani, ngithi ngiyazazi ukuthi
Beautiful.
ngingubani. And when you walk tall knowing who you are, it gives people that confidence.
Njalo.
And yeah, I am who I am today because of your lessons
Oh,
and Kemet and reading Ubaba Credo Mutua's books. I'm really blessed. I feel very blessed. Yes, my gifts are still very confusing me because now it's like everyone ngathini amakhosi
njalo. Bayaphakama bonke one time.
bayaphakama bonke kodwa beza kahle
Beautiful.
kanti futhi bangithola ngi-ready. I think if maybe bebeze ngisemncane ephehlweni bengizoba confused,
That's it.
kodwa manje baphakame bonke ngijabulile and
Beautiful.
ngiyayibona nempumelelo yami eshoyo mabathi uyinkosazana unompumelelo,
Beautiful.
uNdlovukazi unompumelelo.
Beautiful.
Sengiyakubona ke lokho, ngithi makwande kini,
Thokoza.
makwande kakhulu, bonge kakhulu.
Siyabonga mntu omdala. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. I think I can take one more person before I start crying. Zolila. That's my MO on this. That's why I don't do many lives. I come on here and I start crying. Sibone kunenye indlovukazi la. Thokoza ndlovukazi.
Thokoza gogo kunjani?
Thokoza siyaphila ninjani?
Ngiyaphila nami gogo. I've been watching your lives. I think I went ngapasa through, but then kwakunento futhi eyangivuyisa back to your page. I don't know whether it was a topic that you were doing on the day. You had one of the guys that were asking a question which nami ngangistruggleisha ngayo at the time. Gogo, I realized my gift at the age of 12. I would see things in Lini. I would wake up with dreams. I would be told to tell people messages. But then mangibaqelela gogo, it was like ngangibaqelela into, it was like I was cursing them. Yabo. I was a person, like even now, I never had friends in my life. Angiyazi ukuthi umngani intoni. But I never understood myself by then. I thought mhlambe lento ethethwa ngabantu ukuthi it's because it was phakamisile and whatsoever. But then the good heart that I had, I was like, it's not like that, guys. Angizazi namanje understand. Ukuthi angiyazi ukuthi ngizayibeka kanjani. So I tried ukuthi ngiye ephehlweni gogo, but then it never worked. Idlozi belingaphakami, but then the minute ngilala ngisephehlweni belizovuka lithi kukanje but angizoqhamuka kuwe. Ma ukuthi uyanivusa phambi kokugobela wakho. I don't know why. Andizoqhamuka kuwe phambi kokugobela wakho because kwenzeka ukuthi nokuthi. And ndingazi ukuthi what does it mean?
Sure,
And
I
then
can tell you immediately. I can tell you what it means.
So there was this day ngilele kwalapha ephehlweni futhi ngaqhamukelwa at the time, so ngangamazi ukuthi umbani. So kwaqhamuka lo makhulu kumi, and she told me ukuthi, so she showed me a picture of ngizothini, it was like 3 people, and I was the third person. Yena wayime ngale, and there was this person in between us. So unikeza, like it's like a garment emhlophe that has like leopard prints on the shoulders.
Gogo, don't go into too much detail on social media, please. Yes,
Okay, sorry, sorry,
social
Gogo.
media is so dangerous.
Okay.
Listen, already I'm sensing ukuthi kunemimoya engekho right. Ningakhulumi
Yeah.
izinto zenu in great detail on social media.
Okay.
It's another reason I don't do lives, because it's so tempting for people. And I know people are desperate to get help or to get some understanding. But to answer your first question, which was, why was it that these elders would not come through in front of your gobela, but would visit you at night when you sleep? Well, two things. One of the main reasons is that vele, when you're epetlweni, your dreams are where everything happens. And that's why there is, in some places, a rule that when you wake up in the morning, you have to check in with your gobela in order to tell your gobela what you dreamt, so that you get an interpretation. However, and there are certain spirit guides of a certain spiritual rank that abagobeli muntu, abathobeli muntu. Amakhosi are that. Amakhosi do not bow to a human, right? So this is the thing, is if you don't know your spiritual profile going epehlweni, most people don't, it can get messy, because now you have these people who are working with you in the dreamscape. But during the day, when you gajegwa, the process of ukugajegwa, kushayelwa, nobody comes through. And you start to think, there must be something wrong, but my dreams are telling me. You don't understand that they're not going to show up in that space, because abatobeli mundu, and they don't want to talk to this person, they want to talk to you, their child. That's the same thing too, is if say, for example, and I'm not saying you're gobela, I'm again just giving you it from experience, it could be that ugobela lo maike wabamba imithi emdaka, maike wayenza izinto ezimdaka. If this gobela ungumuntu othwele, or is doing dark rituals, there's certain spiritual ranks that do not associate with that. And therefore, they're not going to allow you to share even your dreams. There are people who are told in their dream that you need to leave this place, and you are not going to say anything to this gobela. You're going to say 1, 2, 3 and go home, because we did not send you here. There's always another problem. If they did not send you to a space and you take yourself there, you may find that things don't work out. So I hope that this has answered, but I'm trying very hard not to go too much into your issue here, because, yeah, public space. But I hope I answered your question, Togos. So I don't know if anyone else has any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't even know how long I've been here and whether I fulfilled my requirement. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Anyone else want to come on and ask a question, as long as it doesn't get too personal? Any questions? I don't see any other questions. Oh, there's somebody. Let's see who wants to come talk to us. Butumelo, azame futhi. Let's try Dumi again. Thokoza, Thokoza, Ndlovukazi ninjani?
Ngiyaphila unjani wena gogo?
Siyaphila.
I think I came on late onto the live. I was trying to hear what exactly is it that we're allowed to ask.
Well, it's a Q&A, but here's the thing. We're going to exercise wisdom in how we ask our questions. So you can ask questions around yourself, but this is not a consultation, first and foremost. So you are not going to get a reading, number one. Number two, I generally prefer general spiritual questions, because when you start to share too much, you expose your spiritual profile. And sometimes there are monitoring spirits and people who are waiting for any opportunity to get to hear what your spiritual profile is, so that bayoganga ngawe. Unfortunately, this is the space we're in. And it has happened to people here on TikTok. I know this because they have We've had to undo certain things that were done because of TikTok. So that's why I'm very careful. You can ask a general question if you like. You can ask me a personal question. I mean, it's a question and answer. If I can answer it, I answer it. If I can't answer it, I won't answer.
Okay, okay, let me just give this one a go because I don't know, but
Okay.
I have a question about myself. I'm usually told that I have a gift, but I am struggling to understand the type of gift I have. Okay, there's dreams. Okay, I don't know if I'm going too much
No,
into
you're
this,
already
but
going too far because now you're going to start talking
oh,
about your dreams on here. We
okay.
can't do that.
No, I was not going to mention the dreams. I just meant that I do dream and things do happen. That's all I know, but nothing else going, forward. So I'm sort of confused about this gift.
Okay. All right. Let me try to help you out a little bit. So
Okay.
people, look, you're a woman. Women
Okay.
are by nature spiritual beings. We are very spiritual, very spiritual. Therefore, things like intuition, therefore, things like deja vu, which means that you have clairvoyance, you are able to see certain things. Those are innate abilities that we have. And what people aren't realizing is in this divine age of Aquarius, this divine age of the feminine, we are actually getting our innate abilities boosted again. For so long, many of us, yeah. So this is where sometimes it can be confusing because there is a difference between being spiritually gifted and being ancestrally gifted. The ancestral gift, these are the people who have bloodline ancestors who need to be twasad or to be paramiswad so that they can align and work through their children. Being spiritually gifted, I'd say everybody who taps into their spirituality, their innate abilities, is spiritually gifted. So that is where the distinction has to be made when somebody goes to consult. Is this a spiritual gift that is now just boosted my innate abilities? Or am I ancestrally gifted, meaning nginabantu abadala abafuna izinto ezinje, or who are seeking to work through me as
Through me.
healers, as prophetess or prophets, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So was.
Okay, and you can answer me with that one,
No,
in
of
terms
course
of
not.
where do
I'm
I
not
fall?
doing this is not a consultation. So that's why I
Okay.
said I can help you in
Okay.
that distinction so you understand. And then you can go back to whatever consultation you had to figure out, okay, what did this person actually mean? You can just
Say,
backtrack,
yeah.
yes, and see where you fit in there. There are a lot
Okay.
more signs that need to come together for us to know that someone is ancestrally gifted. It can't just be I
True.
dream and things come true. That just means you have
It's not
a
enough.
boosted innate ability, which women generally have. But now there are other signs and symptoms that we look out for where we can say, this is an ancestral gift. And usually it's
Okay.
associated with uqhamuka komgogo or umkhulu thizeni. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. Let's talk
Yeah.
it.
Okay. No, I
I
get
hope
you.
it
I
helps.
get you completely. Thank you so
So
much.
it's
You
for your
helped me
own
a lot.
safety, Nana. That's why I do it
Yes.
this way. I take this very seriously. It's just for your
No,
own
you
safety.
you honestly helped me a lot. I get it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let's see. First in line. Okay, to me, I'm gonna drop you because it seems to work better. Who do we have? I thought I saw something like Runako. Rwashe. Thokoza Ndlovukazi.
Hello,
Thokoza ninjani?
Sikhona. How are
Makanini
you?
henyu.
Tiripo makadini.
Aiwa tiripo. Bvunzai henyu mubvunzo wenyu.
Ah, yes. Yeah, this thing, it's a very interesting topic, and I'm suddenly having an interesting occurrence. So now my question is, in general, since you are saying it's supposed to be a general question, is it possible that your ancestors can decide to change your spiritual mentor?
Yes, absolutely. They can, because for the first place, if you took yourself to a place that they didn't send you, then they're going to fix that by taking you out of that place and taking you to the place they do want to send you to. Sometimes, too, it happens that you have a mentor for a season, right? If there are certain energies or spirits coming up that align with a certain mentor, then they send you there for that time and for assistance with those guides. Then they'll pull you
Okay.
away and then they'll send you to someone else who they see has certain gifts. Because remember, the only way we can assist you guys is if we have the particular energies or spirits that you have. I cannot help you with a certain gift, for example, if I myself don't have it. Because this journey is an experiential journey. It's not an academic journey where you'll come to me and then I just give you theory. It's an experiential journey, meaning I have to have gone through a certain process for a particular spirit so that I can take you through that process of that particular energy or spirit. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
It was.
That makes sense. So, now, where the issue is, what if, for example, it's getting a bit personal, but for example, the way I usually
Thank you,
communicate with
Queen.
my mentor,
Mm-hmm.
it's through me telling him my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And then he expresses and explains to me how my ancestors are trying to communicate to me. Could there be a possibility that they block your dreams because they know that that's the only way you can communicate with your spiritual mentor?
Who's they blocking your dreams? The ancestors.
Yes.
Well, they don't block your dreams. They're the ones who come to your dreams, so they just stop coming. Right? So then you think your dreams are blocked, but then they just keep quiet. I mean, I've had a lot of people for whom this happened. They end up in the wrong space, and these ancestors just become quiet. And they're like, but I went to such and such, and then suddenly they got quiet. Well, you need to go back to the drawing board because now, why did they go quiet? Sometimes they go quiet because you've arrived where you needed to arrive. So the set of dreams you were having were to lead you to your mentor. Once you get to your mentor's house, oh, they can rest. Now you're where you need to be, and then they can, just watch the process. But this is why it is very important before you get up to say, I'm going to so and so to help me through a certain thing. You need to make sure that you have their approval. How does their approval come? Their approval can come through dreams. Their approval can come as a disapproval. So in other words, if they don't want you in a certain place where you've made up your mind you're going, you'll start to have bad dreams about that place. Take that seriously and don't force and end up going there, because then sometimes they just sit back and say, okay, so you decided to do this on your own initiative. We're just going to sit and watch the drama unfold. They will allow certain things to then happen. And then you're busy crying, why have they abandoned me? Meanwhile, no, you abandoned them. You didn't listen in the first place and you ended up where you shouldn't be. Right? So it's always very, very important. That's why I always say, Ningajahi, please do not try to run before you can walk. Take it easy. Keep a dream journal, right? Where you write your dreams down to make sure that you don't forget something. And a lot of times one dream won't make sense, but by the time you get to dream 5, you've got a whole story. So please don't be lazy. This journey requires you to be very proactive in your own growth and development. You need a dream journal. You're not going to be able to keep every single dream. And sometimes you'll remember it when you wake up. By midday, you've forgotten it. Or you've forgotten certain elements of it. Or your imagination takes over and starts adding salt and sugar and spices to it. So please take your journey seriously. It is your journey. It is not your mentor's journey. It is not Gobela's journey. It is not your mother's, your father's. It is your walk. And so you are responsible for the outcomes of this walk. It doesn't matter what hills and valleys you go through. At the end of the day, ultimately, you are responsible. Ne?
Yes, yes.
Let's talk again. Okay.
Okay. One last question.
Okay. Go ahead.
When it comes to issues of spirituality, is there also issues of cultural differences? So, for
So,
example,
mm-hmm,
I'm a Shona.
mm-hmm.
Is it expected of me to find a spiritual mentor who is a Shona?
You know what? Let me tell you my story, then you can laugh out loud. Okay. I'm a mixture of different things. Taranga, there's some Zulu, Swati, uh, there's Igbo. So look, so now, guess who my first mentor was? A Native American shaman.
Ah, okay.
Because I was here and I didn't know what was going on with me. He's the guy who said to me, you have an ancestral calling on your head. You're not sick, because I got sick, like badly sick. He says, you're not sick. Stop saying you're sick. You have ancestral illness. And guess what? In Zulu, ibizwa ingulo yamadlozi. Ingulo yadlozi. So the fact that he was actually using terminology that I would later learn, this is what you call these things that I'm having, was hilarious to me. I'm like, Yazini, we are one somehow, somewhere. So what I'm trying to say to you is this. You can't be the one who's leading where you get your mentor. You have to do matare ako. You know how to do matare mos. You know how to patla.
Kind of.
See, it starts there. It can't be kind of. You either know or you don't. There's no kind of, because they don't listen to kind of. You've got to know how to pasha and talk to your ancestors. That's the first thing. And everybody, spiritually gifted or not, needs to know how to communicate with their ancestors, please. So people who think ukupasha is only for people with the ancestral gift, no. If you are a spiritual person, and you are, because you're a spirit having a human experience, you have to know the basics of talking to your ancestors based on your culture. Now, I know various ways of ukupahla. For example, I know that the Shona Karanga do not chisa impepo. What we have is we have a wooden plate, you have your snuff, and we have different kinds of snuff. We have isnuff sokupahla, we have isnuff for warfare, and we have isnuff chambwa. And then we have gonadziva, we have isnuff for those with water spirits, we have isnuff for those with amakosi. So based on your culture, you still have to know how to commune with your ancestors, the basic. And all it involves is the 4 elements. You need earth. Earth is represented by snuff. Then you need water. Water is water. Then you're going to need air. Air is usually either an incense stick or impepo. That's your smoke signal, air. Then what is the fire? Fire is your candle, your flame from your candle. So when you have the 4 elements present, you are able to kneel and papata and talk to Okoko Nabumkula Abasekanyeni. You also need to know a bit of your history so that you know who you can pata and who you can't. Right?
Okay.
There are some people whose parents' marriages weren't quite so. Therefore, there are some prohibitions as to how you can commune with your father's side. That's why I always say you start with your mother's side, because that is sure known. Everybody knows everybody knows their mother, hopefully. Unless there's something weird going on, right? You know, like, and people around can vouch that that's your mother because they saw her pregnant with you and they saw her give birth to you and nurse you and so on. Father is kind of, is not make sure who the father can be. Only the mother knows who the father is. So, my point is, start there. But start that communication. You can't start talking about going to a mentor and whatnot, because now you are leading yourself. You haven't even heard what they have to say about what's happening with you and whether you have a gift or not. Because I can tell you you're a gift, but I should be confirming something you already know. If I come to you and I say you have a gift and you say, no, I've never heard that before, I'm like, I backtrack. I'm like, okay, let's wait and see what happens with you. But
Okay.
most times, by the time you're getting to a healer who tells you that you're gifted, you yourself have certain things that have been happening in your life to show you to know, man. I think there's something going on with me ancestrally. So I only then come to confirm what you already know. But remember,
Yes.
I am here just to do. Then if I need to teach you basics of Pasha and we need to start from ground zero, then we start there. But it's your journey. We don't spoon feed you. Even if I don't hear
Yes.
from
Yes.
you for 6 months, I assume everything is well. And if things are going wrong and you're not talking to me, and then you come after 6 months when everything's fallen apart, I get very upset. Because
Yes.
as we move, or as you move through your journey, there are certain things we can do to make sure you stay right. And usually that happens through dream interpretation. This is where a lot of people may get it wrong. Or
Yes.
you may be having things happening around you. Ancestrally gifted kids, unfortunately, are very prone to tagat. We are. It's the nature of the beast. Once people see who you are, that's why I always say, you need to get to know who you are before people out there know who you are before you. Because once they see who you are and you have no idea, you're in trouble. That's why the know yourself comes first. So yeah, so you need to pasha and find out first. Don't rush anything. The messages and answers will come. Some come slow, some come fast, and then you move according to those. Ne? Mr. Hosen.
Yes. Yes. That's Togoza.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
I'm gonna get someone else. You're welcome, Togoza, Gogo, Togoza. Let me get someone else on here. Caesar, maybe Caesar hasn't been on. Thokoza Ndlovukazi ninjani? Siyaphila. Lalela gogo, can't hear you.
Ngiyangizwa gogo.
Yeah, ngiyakuzwa manje.
Okay, I just joined your live now, but I was interested because I can see that you're spiritually gifted. I don't know whether I'm spiritually gifted or what, but I usually dream
Oh no, gogo,
sometimes.
we don't do that here. No. I'm not here to consult. So I'm not here to confirm whether you're spiritually gifted or not. Sharing your dreams on a public platform, I don't know how I don't allow it because it puts you in danger.
Oh, okay.
We have people, that's why I was saying, you got to get to know you before others get to see and know who you are, because then you're in trouble. So you coming here with those very personal questions, I can't answer them on a public platform, and you are exposing yourself. Igama lakho likhona, yabo. Your whole name is there, you've got your whole profile picture. Uzokhuluma indaba zakho. You don't know who is here who's going to now follow you to do whatever it is they do. So
Oh, yeah, that's true.
yeah, so it's literally for your own safety. You can ask a general question about spirituality or anything else, but personal, no.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Gogo.
Thokoza, Ndlovukazi.
So good.
Okay, guys, I'm taking one more person. This is my last person, and then I'm going. Ngiyahamba. Thokoza, Ndlovukazi.
Thokoza gogo kunjani?
Siyaphila, ninjani?
Hayi siyaphila Kehla siyaphila. So my question is, well, I don't know how to maneuver around this one. Sometimes you'd wake up and you're okay. all of a sudden you start feeling like crying, but you don't really know what's going on. So how do you maneuver around that? And because sometimes and you don't know what's happening, you're feeling sad, you wanna cry, and mhlawumbe umuntu engakubuza what's going on, but you can't even tell yourself. So when it comes to that, what is it and how do you maneuver around that?
Okay. So that's a great question, because in Ndlovukazi especially get confused a lot. First and foremost, as in Ndlovukazi, I want to tell you some things about ourselves. We are very complex beings. We are governed by the moon. And therefore, all the moon phases we feel in our body, because in our body, we are about maybe 80 or so percent water. The moon has effects on the tides. If you've ever seen the moon, or even if you don't see the moon, but if you've ever seen the tides of the ocean, they go in and out. Sometimes the ocean is violent, sometimes it's very calm. What you see happening to that water, that is what happens. That's the effect the moon has on the water within our bodies. As in Ndlovukazi, number one. Number two, we have a complex system of hormones within our bodies that ebb and flow with the changes of the moon, right? We have a period, say, when you are menstruating. Uyachitha. Sometimes people's menstruation actually coincides with the full moon, ngoba nayo iyachitha, right? Then you have a period where things seem somewhat calm, and then after 2 weeks, you're ovulating. This is when the moon, I think, is it a half moon? Now you are ovulating, right? A whole set of different hormones are coming in to prepare your body to receive and hold on to a fertilized egg or embryo, right? Then, okay, so you've got the mood swings and everything that happens around that time. Then you go back to the time where umeluchite manje, right? And if you weren't fertilized, then nothing happens. So all those hormones that worked so hard with your system to prepare your uterus, to prepare for this new life, they suddenly go whoosh. And therefore people are like, I've got PMS symptoms, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, I get emotional, then you're emotional, then you're moody, then you feel like killing everybody around you. Excuse, I hope that my life doesn't get cut, but you know what I mean. Understand at that level that we are very complex creatures governed by all kinds of hormones that affect us in different ways. And every woman is different. I have cousins who, when they had their period, they would literally lose their minds. Like for the time they were having their period, especially the first and second day, it was like they had, it was quite scary to watch. Then there were some who had such intense pain. Some suffered memory loss. I'm just trying to paint a picture so that you understand the framework in which we are working. Now, added to that, if you are ancestrally gifted, now you're adding another layer to the already complex mix that is in Ndlovukazi, right? Where you remember, when you're ancestrally gifted, some of the emotions that you are exhibiting, that's why you don't understand what's going on with you, is because kunalo gogo oguwe who's sad, and how is he going to express his sadness through you? So you wake up 1 minute, you're fine, the next minute you just are so emotional, you want to scream, you want to cry, and like it's a deep cry. You don't even know, like ufiwe somewhere, but there's nothing wrong. If you're ancestrally gifted, understand that you will express the emotions of those ancestors that are aligned with you. Remember, baphila kuwe labantu laba. I am of a different school. There are people who talk about Istunywa being an angel. Istunywa for mina idlozi. Same thing. Istunywa is your ancestor. Istunywa is messenger. And so they want to distinguish, because as the people who were in the church, but understand that the people who ended up in the church were first and foremost inyanga, who were forced into the church with the 1950s Witchcraft Act. So when you remove all that layer of colonization, okusalayo, it's ancestral gifting. That's why I immediately said, if you are ancestrally gifted.
Can I quickly come in, Gogo?
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much for clarifying what you've just did.
Thokoza.
Now, how do you center yourself? How do you ground yourself? Because now it could happen ukuthi mhlambe you're at work or you're about to do something and you just break down. Or how do I now ground or center yourself to, okay, maneuver these emotions that I myself don't even understand sometimes?
I think understanding the emotion is not necessarily. Feel it. Accept it for what it is. Okay, you know what? I'm feeling horrible here. I feel like crying. We get ourselves in a knot when you try to figure out, why am I feeling like this? Don't do that to yourself. If you're spiritually gifted kids, you'll never have all the answers. Especially not in a work environment where you don't even have time to sit and introspect. What I would do is find a corner. If you need to go to the bathroom or you even need to go outside, if you can, take off your shoes and step on the ground. Not on concrete. If you have grass, like step on earth. Concrete is dead. It's very low vibrational. It's not going to connect you and ground you. But if you step on grass or you step on soil, just pull off your shoes really quickly and step on soil. And you can say to your colleagues or whatever, it doesn't take 10 minutes. Just go and stand there and stand in the sun and allow the sun to hit you while you're rooted to Mother Earth. You're rooted to the earth and you will start to feel better. If you need to cry, please do not suppress it. Just let those tears come. Cry it out, wipe your tears, then go to work. That's the most I can do for you.
Thokoza, Gogo. Thank you so much. Thank you
All the best.
much.
I know this journey, it's special, but Thokoza, all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thokoza. All right, and now you are more of you here, and I'm trying to run away. Okay, there's one more person. No, yes. Okay, so one more person, and then guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go, and y'all should be sleeping. Thokoza Ndlovukazi.
Thokoza Gogo.
Ninjani, how are you?
Good, thanks. And yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
So you've touched on very interesting topics today, and you touched on something saying it's the age of Aquarius, it's the age of truth, and I see a lot of like proliferations with like the Asian world and dragons. Can you just explain if there's an African connection to that? Because I don't know, I just feel it in my spirit that there is, but I can't explain it.
So when we speak of uNomkhubulwane, Nomhoy, she's a shapeshifter. And most times she'll manifest as a dragon in Kanyamba. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
And so now
So there
we're
definitely
in the age of
is.
the divine feminine, right? We've entered the age of the divine feminine. They will say it's the age or the year of the dragon. So put it together.
Oh, okay.
So
no, thank you for that.
so goes.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we done? I think we're done. Okay, I have to take this one of my children, so I'm going to take him and then we're really done. Tipo?
Ngalizwi nami.
Riripo Magadiko.
Indakurozi.
You know I can't come on these lives. You know what happens to me when I come on live. Last live, look how things went south very quickly.
The stretch shut down, that's the thing anyway. Anyway, I won't take much time. I wanted to ask actually, because you were talking about ukupahla, to be honest. Because like in my family, there's nobody that focuses on ancestral things. So for me, it's quite difficult to learn on that side. So I wanted to ask personally on terms of that, for those who want to learn, if in the future, if you're permitted to teach in terms of different ukupahla for different places, really, I think it will help us.
I think thank you. I think what I'll do is actually, if I can't come live, you know I don't govern myself. So sometimes that's why I never plan to come live, because every time I plan to come live, they're like, that's your plan. We got another plan. So today it just so happened that I needed to fulfill a requirement for something, and that required me to go live. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just go live, and it was allowed. But what I will do, I think, and guys, there is a book that's coming out soon. It's called the Spiritual Path, which includes Ancestral Path as well. This will be a book that is very comprehensive, and it will cover all the 7 spiritual kingdoms. Is going to cover the different cosmologies as relates to spiritual practice. So that is coming. I'm working on it. We're almost there. But in the meantime, what I can do is, I think I might actually just do a series of videos, ukupahla, part 1, part 2, because different cultural groups, and I don't like the word tribe, I will never use it. Please don't use that group, that terminology. It's a derogatory word. But different cultural groupings, if you like, have slight differences in how they pahla. Now, I will share on those because, like I said, they are these differences. Now, do they matter in the long run? In some cases, they do matter in the long run. But the paradox is, in some cases, they don't, because when you look in your ancestry, most of you are a mishmash from all sorts of places in the world. So generally, when I teach this, I'm like, if you focus on having the 4 elements present, you're safe. So, for example, where perhaps you cannot have, say you don't do snef, you might have impupu. I know that Abesutu and Karanga people use impupu a lot in their pasha, right? In some, depending on how ancient your ancestors are, you might actually use amabele.
Yes.
Ebo,
Yes.
right? Ezio, right? Or sorghum. So there are so many different nuances, and some of the nuances you learn once you're actually on your journey. And I had to learn different ways of patterning different kinds of ancestors that I have after Nkume Petlweni, because that's when some of them then showed themselves.
Yes.
So maybe I could do that. That's why I said the basics is making sure you have your 4 elements present. And the other thing ngokupahla is pahla in the language that you use at home. Unfortunately, for English speakers, if you are an English speaker, then you just use the English as is. But for those of you who have a language such as Sesotho, Karanga, Venda, Pedi, pahla in that tongue, because it has more resonance than English ever will. English is a spell and it is a dead language. It does not create this resonance between Izulu nomhlaba, which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to create vibrational frequencies using sound that will reach that ancestral realm, because what they register is not the words you're saying, but it's the sounds that come from these words. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense, Kogo.
Logos.
Thank you so much, Baba.
No, you're welcome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the gifts. I think we should do these more often, where I just come spontaneously, no plan. And then I'll say whoever happens to catch me was meant to be there. Because otherwise, if I start planning these things, they shoot them down, shame. But I've loved being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for being respectful. I really appreciate that. And thank you for just holding space. So, siyabonga, siyabonga.